Hi Body Movers, it's Beth and Beanie, and here we are just a few miles north of our cabin. It's a beautiful Saturday. No, it's a Sunday. We're gonna climb the Beaver Dam Trail, which is only about a half mile up, but it's a steep half mile up. So stay with us here. Here's take two. We're doing this in little individual shots, and our videographer this morning is my college classmate Tori and her doggie Annie. So Annie and Beanie are having a great time, and Tori and I are having a great time too. But I wanted to share with you that during the pandemic, so I've heard from many people who have said that they just aren't getting the exercise that they did before the pandemic, and I think we all feel that. And particularly they feel that since the pandemic began, they have lost muscle strength and they've lost balance. So then I asked them, well, what are you doing for exercise? And many people say, well, what I'm doing is I'm walking. I'm walking a lot. I walk almost every day, and I might walk 2 to 3 miles, maybe more. So, and then they say, well, I'm gonna do more exercise, more different types of exercise after the pandemic is over. And I have a question to ask you, and that is, when will the pandemic be over? And secondly, what will you have lost between now and then if you're not doing exercise other than walking? So today, as we take our walk up to the beaver pond, we are going to talk about walking. We're taking a few steps farther now. We're in the West Elk Wilderness area of Colorado. You can see that by the sign here. But we're talking about walking this morning. You know, we get lots of reinforcement to walk for exercise. Leading authorities say you must walk. The Blue Zones Initiative stresses walking. Well, why is it that walking is thought to be the exercise, or we get the idea that walking is thought to be the exercise and that walking is enough? Well, it is the most popular type of physical activity, and nearly everyone walks. We've been doing it since we were about 1 year old, so it's pretty automatic. And it's something that our bodies are designed to do, and do a lot of often. And that's why walking is defined as an activity, not really an exercise. It's something we should be doing every day. A physician, Dr. Michael Greger, says authorities who recommend walking as exercise seem to have fallen into the same trap as nutrition authorities recommending that what they think may be achievable for us, rather than informing us what science says and then letting us take the initiative. So Tori just showed you the beautiful blue sky and the magnificent aspens that we have today here on this walk, this hike. And we're back to talking a little bit about walking and how authorities talk about walking as being the appropriate exercise. And it may be partly because that's what the most they can expect that we're going to be able to do or want to do. And the consumer industry has convinced us that 10,000 steps a day is just going to be fine for our exercise. We have devices strapped onto us. I remember the day that I had to get my 10,000 steps in. And once I got them in, boy, did I feel fulfilled. Well, it's still important to feel fulfilled, but those 10,000 steps should just be the minimum of activity in a day and not true exercise. So what we're going to talk about is true exercise in relation to walking and looking at the two principal cornerstones of functional fitness, which are overload and specificity. So in relation to walking, so overload means that once the body is used to a certain movement, it needs to be challenged forward. Otherwise it gets complacent, and we really are not working toward the next level of fitness. So that's overload principle. We need to overload, challenge. The second principle is called specificity. And specificity means that the exercise that you are doing is achieving what you intend for it to do. So we're going to talk about the benefits of walking and some of the drawbacks. And while we talk about this, Tori is going to show some of the absolutely beautiful scenery that we have, that we're seeing on this walk, this hike this morning. I would call it a slow walk. It's certainly not a hike. So the benefits of walking, well, if you're outside like we are today, you are in nature. How fabulous. A 10-minute walk can reduce your anxiety. It alleviates depression and fatigue, and it improves your mood. Walking can be a natural meditative experience. It can open doors for creative thought. You are getting out of the house and you'll feel less cooped up. So looking at the dimensions of wellness, walking can meet your mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and environmental needs. Physically, walking can improve the quality of your sleep. It's good for the joints, and depending on the quality, meaning the overload principle of your walking, it can be good for heart health and circulation. So considering this cornerstone of specificity, 10,000 steps every day may help maintain weight, but it is not the best exercise for weight loss. So let's look at the drawbacks. Walking for walking's sake does not meet the overload principle. We already know how to walk. It's automatic. Therefore, there's little variation in how we walk. It is forward, one foot in front of the other. Because we already know how to walk, it can be a mind disconnect, which may let the mind float, be distracted, be creative, but it also disconnects the brain-body relationship of sensory signals in visual, auditory, touch, pressure, temperature, and proprioception. So back to the principle of specificity. Don't depend on walking to keep your muscles and bones strong. The muscle benefit is to the lower body, just a minuscule upper body support and bone weight bearing function. Remember, poor muscle strength and reaction time increases the risk of falling by 76%. Strength training is what is needed to improve muscle strength and aspects of balance and brain health. Walking is not enough to prevent metabolic decline and loss of muscle mass that happens with age. To preserve muscle mass and metabolism, strength training is the absolute investment of your time. So increasing your muscle mass will increase your metabolism and will favor better bone health. Also, don't depend on walking to be the exercise of choice to maintain or improve your balance or your flexibility. You need to constantly be switching up your exercise in order to get the maximum benefit for your health. Here we are. We have reached the top of the hike, which is about a half-mile up, and it's a pretty steep hike up, but it's a reward when you get to the top. Tori has just shown you the pond, the beaver pond, and there's a beaver lodge there. We've got ducks. Tori tells me that what you see on the surface of the pond indicates it's a healthy pond. This is one of the mountains in the mountain range called the Anthracite Range. Absolutely beautiful. As we end this part 1, we want you to watch part 2 for some application to this. Here we are back near the cabin, just a few hundred feet from the cabin. We finished our walk. Remember today that we walked. We did not do exercise, it was activity. But we did satisfy a lot of our needs in our emotional and in mental, spiritual sense and environmental sense, social sense too, not so much in the physical way. So if you enjoy walking, by all means do enjoy walking, but make it more than just that 10,000 steps. We need exercise for so many reasons, and certainly walking is important. But again, it's not going to fulfill the needs that we need for strength, for balance, for flexibility, and for brain health. So stay tuned for part 2 when Tori and I show you some few examples of ways to incorporate that. See you soon. Bye.